Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something that, well, it really touches everyone, doesn't it? Whether you're leading a team, building something new, or just, trying to get through the workday. We're all caught up in this whirlwind of modern work. Productivity feels like the ultimate goal. Chasing deadlines, those back-to-back meetings, pivoting fast. But what if moving faster doesn't mean we're actually heading in the right direction? We're diving into a really thought-provoking article today. It's called Presence Over Productivity, a new metric for meaningful work. And it basically asks, is how much we do the right measure, or is it how present we are?
That's exactly it. This deep dive, it's about unlocking something pretty crucial, I think. The article talks about visible motion and invisible meaning. Lots of activity, but where's the real value? So our mission today is to explore this idea of presence as the new leverage. What does it actually mean for how we work, lead, and, genuinely grow?
Okay, let's unpack that. The article kicks things off with a formula. It's meant to reframe how we measure success, and they call it effective productivity.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is how it tries to quantify something that feels, well, pretty intangible, right? The
Right.
formula is effective productivity, or EP, equals raw productivity, RP times a presence factor, P.
Okay, break that down for us. RPP, EP, what do they really stand for?
Right. So raw productivity, RP, that's the easy one. It's the volume, tasks done, hours worked, deals closed, lines coded. It's the stuff you can count. Then you've got presence, P. This is the quality bit. How much attention, intention, awareness are you bringing? It's a scale, 0 to 1. 0 is like completely checked out. 1 is total focus.
Like being in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. And then effective productivity, EP, is the result. It's not just output. It's the meaningful output, the stuff that actually moves the needle, creates real value, the impact.
So it's not just volume. It's volume times quality of attention.
Yeah.
The article had a great example for this, didn't it?
It did, a really clear one. Imagine team one, super busy, churning out stuff like crazy. Let's say their raw productivity RP is 100 units, high volume, but they're distracted, constantly switching tasks, maybe reacting to notifications. Their presence factor, P, is low, say zero point 0.3.
Okay.
So you do the math, 100 times 0.3. Their effective productivity, EP, is only 30 units of real value. Lots of motion, not much meaningful progress.
30. Wow. Okay, what about the other team?
Team two, they work a bit slower, more deliberately. Their raw productivity RP is lower, maybe 60 units.
Noticeably less output on paper.
Right, but they're focused, highly present. Their presence factor, P, is maybe 0.9.
Cool.
So a 60 times 0.9, that gives an effective productivity of 54 units.
54. That's way more than the busier team, nearly double the actual value with less raw output.
Exactly. They work better, not just less or more. Presence acts like this quality multiplier. It can amplify your efforts, or if it's low, it basically cancels out a lot of the raw work.
That really flips the script on just chasing activity.
Yeah.
It suggests the distracted team might even be creating waste rework errors.
Precisely. Invisible waste. While the present team, their effort has more, let's say, density of value, it compounds over time.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense conceptually.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do this? How do leaders or teams cultivate this presence? The article mentioned a framework, right? The presence leverage loop.
It did. And it's not just a nice idea, it's presented as a practical model. It shows how building presence becomes this self-reinforcing cycle, a growth engine.
Walk us through that loop. How does it work?
Okay, step one is presence. You start by showing up fully. Clear mind, aware of the task, the context.
Be intentional.
Right. And from that presence, step two emerges. Clarity. You start to see what really matters. Priorities sharpen up. You understand the customer need better, the bigger picture. It's like the fog lifts. Step three follows naturally. Intentional action. Because you have clarity, you're not just reacting anymore. Your actions are smarter, more deliberate, focused on what counts.
Makes sense. Presence leads to clarity. Clarity leads to better action.
Exactly. And that intentional action leads to step four, effective output. Real outcomes, not just vanity metrics. Things that genuinely make a difference.
And achieving those real outcomes must feel good.
It does. Which brings us to step five, momentum and confidence. Success breeds success, right? It builds trust, motivation. It actually creates more space. Maybe mental space, maybe calendar space.
In that space, does it lead back to the start?
Precisely. Step six. That momentum and confidence allows you to deepen presence. You have more capacity, more belief, and boom, you restart the loop, but at a higher level. Each cycle makes things sharper, the impact bigger.
That's a powerful flywheel. Presence fuels clarity, fuels action, fuels results, fuels confidence, which fuels more presence.
You got it. It becomes a virtuous cycle for performance and even culture.
So why isn't everyone doing this? Why do so many teams, so many companies feel stuck? The article talked about a busy work plateau, right?
Yeah, that's the flip side. The article argues that lots of places get stuck because they chase the outputs without building the presence first. They invest in, say, new software tools before presence, or they push for growth before they're really grounded.
Output before context, growth before groundedness. What does that actually look like, that busy work plateau?
Well, it feels like you're spinning your wheels. To-do lists get longer, but real value doesn't increase. Metrics might even look okay on the surface, activity metrics, but morale is dipping. Things feel fragmented.
Like running faster and faster, but not actually getting anywhere important.
Exactly. Motion without meaning. That's the plateau.
The article then uses a specific example, which I found really interesting. Quick commerce, like Zepto.
Right. A perfect illustration of what the article calls the speed trap. Zepto absolutely nailed 10-minute grocery delivery, incredible raw productivity, amazing logistics.
Masters of speed.
Totally. But now they're expanding. Pharmacy, clothes, pet supplies.
So the big question the article raises is this strategic presence-led growth? Or is it just sprawl? Chasing growth because they can.
Precisely. And this ties into the idea of presence as strategic coherence, which is basically awareness plus intentionality applied to business strategy.
So how would Zepto know if it's presence-led expansion? What are the signs?
Well, according to the article's logic, you'd ask, does the new area build on the trust you already have? Does it solve a real adjacent problem for your customer? And crucially, can you expand without losing operational focus or messing up what made you great?
So it's about careful pacing and strategic fit, not just jumping at opportunities.
Exactly. The risk of growing without presence is you end up diluting your brand, confusing your customers, and maybe even breaking your operational excellence. It's not anti-growth, it's asking, is this growth an extension of who we are and what we do best, or is it a distraction?
That's a critical distinction. And it feels like this applies way beyond just big companies expanding. Presence sounds like a core leadership skill now.
Oh, absolutely. The article is very clear on this. Presence isn't just, mindfulness for stress relief. It's framed as a fundamental strategic leadership capability.
What does that look like in a leader?
It means being able to see the big picture through the noise. It means really listening, not just waiting to talk, making fewer but clearer, better decisions, and importantly, creating the space for reflection, for thinking, even when things are moving fast.
And the benefit of that.
Leaders with presence solve the right problems. They guide teams with the why, not just the what. They build teams that are truly engaged, not just compliant or busy. The article called it the anti-friction lubricant for high-performance cultures. It just makes everything run smoother with less wasted effort.
Okay, anti-friction lubricant. I like that. If it's so beneficial, how do companies actually make this happen? How do you operationalize something like presence? Can you measure it?
Great question. And yes, the article suggests you can and should. It's moving from philosophy to practice by creating presence metrics, making the intangible tangible.
Like what kind of metrics are we talking about?
Well, things like team awareness. What percentage of your team can actually name the top 3 strategic goals right now? If it's low, maybe presence and clarity are lacking.
Interesting.
Or meeting quality. What percentage of meetings have a clear purpose stated upfront and defined outcomes at the end? Are they focused or just talking shops?
We've all been in those meetings.
Haven't we just? Another one is focus time. How many hours per week do people genuinely get for deep work without Slack or email pinging constantly?
That's a huge one.
It is. And maybe strategic clarity at the leadership level? Regularly checking alignment on the core mission, the customer focus? Are we all pulling in the same direction?
So it really boils down to that old saying, what gets measured gets managed.
Exactly. And the article adds, what gets noticed grows. By tracking these things, you're signaling that presence matters. You're actively cultivating it. It becomes part of the rhythm of the business.
This is a really different way of thinking about performance. So looking ahead, especially with AI and automation becoming more powerful, what does this mean for the future of work?
Well, the implication is pretty profound. If AI starts handling more of the raw productivity tasks, the high volume, repeatable stuff, then human value shifts, doesn't it?
It has to.
Right. So the differentiator isn't sheer output anymore. It becomes the ability to pause before acting, the teams that are intentional, the leaders who truly listen before deciding, the companies that have deep clarity about who they are before they chase what's next.
So presence becomes the competitive edge.
That's the argument. The article puts it really well. Presence is not slowness, it's sharpness. Presence is not anti-productivity, it's productive by design. It's about achieving significant impact through focus and clarity, not just brute force effort.
Wow. Productive by design. That's a powerful way to put it. This whole conversation really shifts the focus, doesn't it? In a world obsessed with speed, maybe presence is the actual compass we need.
I think so. And the closing thought from the article really sticks with you. Speed is only useful if you're headed in the right direction. Presence is what tells you which way is north.
That's a great line. So maybe the question we should all be asking isn't just how much did we get done today,
Mm.
but rather how present were we while doing it? That might just be the new benchmark for meaningful work and maybe for building truly successful, sustainable businesses. Well, hopefully this deep dive into presence over productivity has given you, our listeners, some fresh perspective, something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us.